Morning, welcome, and good evening. It is Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, and we had another great day in the market today, another new all-time high. But really what I want to do today is we're going to focus a little bit back on market structure, take a look at what's what, because we've got some buying power availability, and I want to get some trades on. Last night we looked at our accounts. We put on a few little trades in there, and today we're going to really go back and see where we are in each of the accounts. But before we do that, let's just jump into the markets and let's take a quick look at where things are and where things ended up on the day today. So overall, SPX jumped up over 40 points on the session, another new all-time high in the market. So the market's just unrelentingly moving higher here. So if we're looking at SPY overall, this thing just continues to march higher. You remain in overbought, and I'm using the 75 on the RSI and the 25, and you're overbought. Let me get my face off here. Maybe it'll make it easier for you guys to see what's going on. Yeah. But yeah, you've got markets hitting new highs, well above the 3 ATR for the third week in a row. So we're definitely overextended. You're over the 75 on the RSI, so you're overbought here. The squeeze is longer than average and continues to play out. So momentum's been strong, but just unrelenting to the upside. And when we see that, over and over, this is one of the steepest moves that we've seen. This thing's got to come back to earth a bit at some point. We're looking at the daily, though. You've got new all-time highs, and even though RSI is rising, these tops here are not hitting new all-time highs on the RSI or even the MACD here from the last couple sessions. So that's letting me know that I think this thing's just getting a bit toppy here, but it just keeps pounding its way higher, which is all good for us for the most part, but we'd love to get a little bit of a pullback. Taking a look at the Qs as well, pretty much the exact same story. This thing just unrelenting to the upside. We broke above, this ascending triangle resistance area today. You're not quite as overdone here. You are overbought on the weekly. It's above the 3 ATR. We're technically not above the 75, but we're doggone close on the RSI. This squeeze is long in the tooth. I mean, this is just a long uptrend here, but on the daily, this uptrend is pretty orderly. I mean, up, down, new high, higher low, another new high, and it's just an orderly move higher, and RSI is not in overbought territory at all, and neither is the MACD. So there could be at least a little bit more near-term upside, I think, on the Q. So I think, it's giving you a little bit of a mixed message opportunity there. So if we take a look here at the IWM as well, this thing bounced a little bit, or gave off a little bit today, but it's bouncing a little bit this week off of its lows here, but just trying to hang on to the 50-day moving average on the daily and just struggling with the 921 EMAs here on the daily. But MACD, it's just heading slightly lower. RSI just drifting lower. You're in a long squeeze. This thing's got to break one way or the other, but the weekly momentum is to the downside. So we'll see what happens. Right now, I think it's just right in the middle, and it could be a good strangle opportunity. Looking at the stocks above their 50-day moving average, that gave, bumped up just a fraction today, but we're still sitting about 60%. So it's not in overbought nosebleed territory at all. Put call ratio continues to just move sideways to slightly lower, so the market's moving higher. VIX doing nothing. This thing's back near some lows that we've had. We can probably just bring this thing down to this price level. We're just dead right now. There's just nothing going on. Super long squeeze. Does that mean the VIX could be spiking at some point soon, big time? Maybe. Getting a little bit of MACD moving higher. Maybe we can see volatility starting to turn for the up. It's just not showing that right now. If we look at the dollar on the session today, the dollar moved down fractionally. It did break out of this ascending triangle. We had a nice breakout, a little bit of a pullback the last two sessions. MACD, RSI, squeeze, running a little bit out of steam on this break, but the weekly still looks decent to continue to move higher. So right now, I just see more sideways movement on the dollar. And if we look at the 10-year treasuries, those have been pulling back the last day or so. Today was up fractionally on the day. MACD, RSI pretty much flat right in the middle, squeeze flat. If we look at the weekly, yeah, there's a little bit of momentum and maybe moving to the upside. So we'll see if rates climb. That would be bearish for bonds overall. But right now, it's just moving sideways, which is perfect for us. We're just going to continue to drop strangles on this thing and let it just try to figure out where it wants to be. Taking a look at the big four futures for me, which is where we're going to invest most of our 112 and strangle trades. First one here is oil. Oil had a nice update on the session today, pulling back, fractionally after the close, but overall, another nice update in oil. Here you've got MACD moving higher, coming off lows. RSI starting to inch its way higher, squeeze reversing its downward momentum. So I think overall, it's a nice little sign. We're still in a bearish trend. Moving averages are stacked to the downside except for the 200, but you're holding on to the 200 on the weekly. I think that's bullish. You've got a bullish PSAR 3 weeks ago. You're in this uptrend, which has been holding on for a couple months now. And overall, just some sideways to weak movement on the oil, but I just like where oil is here. I think you can strangle this 112 trades. Lots of opportunities in oil. If we take a look at gold, how's this thing going? This wedge or this triangle pattern is just getting tighter and tighter and tighter. You're now into a squeeze heavily with MACD dropping, RSI flat on the daily. So this thing's just flat and moving sideways, which for us, totally fantastic because we've got strangles and a strangle 112 on. So that's paying off on every side for us here. And if we look at the weekly, MACD is falling, but RSI is rising to sideways with squeeze running a little bit out of momentum. But really, there's nothing telling us, that there's a move coming one way or another. Can't really predict this one. If you were a betting person, you'd say this daily looks a bit bullish. You'd say the weekly looks pretty much neutral to slightly bearish, even though the overall trend, I think, is bullish. Just sideways consolidating. Something's going to give on here. So everything's got, a give point that's coming up, it looks like. Looking at copper, a pretty good, down session today. MACD, RSI, squeeze, all heading lower. We're in this channel, and we're just bouncing around sideways in this channel. Now, we do have moving averages starting to move lower. Here, they've all tipped over. They're all heading down. They're not stacked to the downside, but they're starting to pick up momentum to the downside. You can see with the MACD, momentum is definitely picking up on the weekly as well. PSAR bullish, a bearish reversal signal this week, so that's bearish. MACD, RSI, and squeeze all rolling over. So right now I was gonna put a trade on in HG today, and I stayed out of it for the session. And let's just let this thing figure out what it wants to be. Does it break, this trend line here? And if we look at this trend line, this is pretty flat. So I think you've got to really respect this particular trend line right now. In fact, I could probably even go back further here. If we go back to about 1120 even. Okay. This thing's been a good support level, solid support going back a while. So do we get a bounce here? Do we finally break through this support? Right now, bearish is the way on this. And then bonds, we've already been talking about this with the rates just moving sideways. Bonds are moving sideways. I've got this wedge pattern in here. We could probably redraw it a couple different ways, to the upside here a bit. to take in a few of these candles and make it a little bit more valid to the upside. But the lower part, I think this is pretty solid. You're just moving sideways. We're going to get a break one way or the other. Look at how flat everything is here. RSI dead flat, squeeze flat, MACD flat. Everything's flat on the daily, and then the weekly, there's a little bit of a bearish MACD and RSI, but bullish on the squeeze. So I think this week more sideways. I love just adding strangles to this. We continue to pound strangles. We're up about $2,000 in strangles now in the last month on this. So this is a good opportunity for us if we're looking just a really quick look. With the dollar being fractionally down, most of your Forex were pretty much flat to slightly up on the session today. And then if we look at nat gas here, this big gap down heading lower, nat gas looks absolutely awful for the most part. Looks terrible, but look out for this bottom line. Okay, look out. Why did that not take? Let's see if we can extend that bottom line. Now look at this line that we've had on the weekly. This thing dates back all the way from support section here. This dates back to 220. This is the most momentum I think we've had to the downside. Let's hone in a little bit. Oops. Let's hone in a little bit here on the 50 and to see where we are in relation to that line. Because I think once you cross that line, the momentum really gets kicking in your direction. Now we crossed it to the downside. That was this big long drop. We were heading lower, lower, lower. Now you got MACD and squeezes long. Is it running out of steam? I think this has yet to be seen. I'm not touching it yet. I knew some people that are in a little bit of pain. Here's why you don't really play with the Widowmaker itself. This thing can move, and it's a big multiplier. So right now you've had a gigantic move from 3.3 all the way to a $1.90 here with a underlying that has a monstrous multiplier. So not only do you have some losses here potentially if you're long or trying to play the 1-1-2 game or strangles, but you've got a multiplier that could quickly make this thing get out of control fast on you. But we'll see if this support holds in here. This is as low as it's ever been. Okay, so if we go back to a chart, and maybe we can grab a monthly chart, you got to go all the way back to 2020. Okay, you got to go all the way back to about August of 2020, or really let's go here, June of 2020, where the low was around $1.44. So this thing is now nearing the lowest point that you've been in almost 10 years. Okay, lowest point in that gas in 10 years. Doesn't mean it can't go lower, doesn't mean it can't go negative. I'm staying away. I just wanted to point that out to you. So there's where we are. We got lots of trades. I think just for me, it's all of this sideways movement that really looks pretty good in here. I think sideways on oil. I think sideways on gold for now until it breaks one way or the other. I think you get sideways to down on copper, and you get sideways on bonds. The market is strictly sideways on most of these futures, and then the market itself is just in a ridiculous bullish mood. So this gives you a way to diversify your trades away from the mains. Instead of just having all your money in ES or something like that where things are overbought, I think you got to really start to tighten. You got to start to tighten it up and watch what you're doing in the market. So let's take a quick look at the dashboard for today. And I have not entered my my data for the session. So let's take a moment to do that here, and you can kind of just see the process as I work through it. So let's take a look. Where is our theta? Our theta for the session was -11. So we made some moves today to knock some theta down, or I'm sorry, delta is -11. You are almost at 0.000 on delta. So I actually have negative delta in my account right now based on just 2 trades that we put on today and one we took off. From a theta perspective, theta ended the day at 1,025, but it's up. It's right around there in after hours. So 1,025.24. So our theta, we stayed the same, even though we closed a pretty good sized trade. The net lick on the day, 423,739. All right, so that's going to put us at yet another new all-time high. We continue to just rocket high. We are now up 7% on the year from a net lick standpoint. So we're up 7% on the year so far. And we pay off when the market starts to go a little more sideways. So we'll keep an eye on it. All right, buying power use is 241,655. When you take Bill into account, we're now under 50%, which I'm actually pretty happy with right now. We did put some stuff on today, but that knocked our deltas down, and it also freed up some buying power. So I like where we are. And then we picked up $2,893 on the session today. What was that? Came in the form of a couple different trades here. And some of these we showed last night in the video. So if you didn't see that, go back and check out that video. So the first thing here was we did close the naked puts of a long-term 112 trade for around 94% here. So that was 2,790. We did have, or what we did here was we actually closed the short put of a PDS. We paid $235 to close the short put of a PDS, which is giving us a large ratio spread and some negative delta there. And then we also, on the day, we closed our ratio spread for 60%, so a nice $408 winner. Ratio spread winner, 28 days on that. This was a nice trade that we put on. I like doing ratio spreads on stocks in an uptrend, and this was just another winner that we added to the kitty. So overall, pretty nice looking month going so far. We're already up in the first 5 sessions. We're up $3,600. We're up $8,000 in net lick alone for the month. So we're really having a fantastic start to the year so far. We'll see how things go. If the market starts to sell off, at least slowly and fairly orderly, we're really going to see our account explode to the upside, and we could really be booking some great gains in here. So we'll keep an eye on how things are going, but I think we're set up really, really well. Buying power is just perfect where we are. We're making realized gains. We've already made $25,000 this year alone. So we've already made 6.5% on our account already in realized gains, and then 7% on our net lick. All right, so let's jump over to the IRA, and let's take a look at where things are on the IRA. And there's a couple trades here, so I'm gonna just book them live while we're in here. So today is the 7th. The delta on the IRA today is 196. Okay, so it's a little bit positive, but still well within our parameters. Here, the theta on this particular is, sorry, it's 121. I'm sorry, it's 121. No wonder, I looked at the wrong column. 121, so 0.05, which is perfect for us. And then 196 on theta. So theta is a bit low. We'll talk about that in a minute. However, we're sitting here at 251,403. Okay, and fractionally higher, but that is enough for another new all-time high here. And then the buying power 91,795. Okay, gives us we're only sitting at 29% buying power right now. So we got to get some theta going, and we got to get some extra trades on. I'm just struggling right now finding something that makes a lot of sense from a spec trade or a opportunity trade, if you want to call it that. So I think that's something to take a look at now. We did close a trade. Let me make sure we pull the right thing in here. And let's take a look at activity. So what did we do? We did close something yesterday. So let's jump in. Go to our open trades. We closed the February 16th So you got to find February 16th, which is one of our BA 112 trades. We actually closed February 16th. Right, I'm trying to find it here. February 16th. Oh, okay. Down here. So on this particular trade, we had already closed the naked puts on this long-term 112. We had closed the naked puts on this trade. And then what we did was we actually also closed the short puts of the PDS that's there. So I'm going to take this. We're going to go back here. We're going to book it in here. And what we did here on this particular trade, since this trade's not done yet, so I'm not going to book that. We just spent 40 cents on this particular trade. So minus 0.4. We had two contracts working. There's no margin on this particular trade. And 2.7. Okay, this is an A type of trade. So we spent $40 here. And I'm going to put the notes in. Closed the 4,100 short puts of the PDS for 40-cent debit on 2.7. Okay. So why did we do that? I'm just going to put 4,100 here. Okay. And essentially what we did was we turned this into just a 41.50 long put. I'm going to leave the initial trade on here. So when this thing, if this just expires, I will book the $800 loss at that point. And I spent another 40 bucks here on this particular trade. Other than that, we're in good shape, but I'd like to be starting to pull some more things off. And I think when we take a look at this account, we've got the naked put on the February 29th. That's still alive, and that needs to be closed now. All right, so let's take a look at this one. So we've got this trade. I'm going to go into the accounts, so I'll share that with you guys. Let's just do this live and be done with it. We're going to take a look at our account here. I mean, this stuff is just rocking and rolling. We already talked about a lot of this last night, so nothing I'm going to do. But I got these naked puts still sitting here on the February 9th trade. They're at 97%. I missed it a couple days ago. So my goal right now is to just take these off. We'll see if we can get it for 40 cents. Okay, and we'll see if we can book that thing here. So right now they're working 40. You know what? Let's just do 45 and be done. All right, and we are out. So now that once we spent that 40, now we spent 45 cents. So let's go back into our account here, and we're going to take this 36.50 that we had, and we're going to move this one over into closed. We'll add it up here. We will put in the fact that we just closed this for 45 cents on 2.7. Okay, that was a definite win. I don't know why we're not centered, but we will be. Okay, we like to move it to green if it is a win, red if it is not a win. Okay, and these are now February trades. Okay, and I did close the 36.50 naked put for 45-cent debit on 2.7. All right, so that thing's closed now. So we're going to book some gains on the day for this one. So we've got a little bit of a loss when we bought this back. So we bought the short put back to create basically a black swan type hedge at 41.50. And then this one, we closed the naked puts out. I don't think there's anything else, not yet. So nothing else to be done quite yet. So let's book this thing. Let's go to the dashboard and we'll take a look down here. You can see on this trade now we're up at 24.70 on the session because we've now realized those gains. So right now we're up 24.70 on the month. Overall, we're up 1%. Our goal in an IRA is up 1.5% a month. We're up 2% on the year so far. So we're in good shape. We're going to underperform the market when the market's moving up. We're going to outperform the market when the market's sideways to down. So we continue to add money. We're hitting our numbers. And then if the market starts to pull back, this thing should really start to get cooking. We also just freed up more buying power. So we got to get some trades on in this thing. If I take a look at the account right now, I know you can't see it, but it's all good. Our buying power now is 80,642. So 80,642 now on this. So we just dropped by closing this out. We just dropped our buying power significantly. We're at like 24%. We got to get some trades on in here. We'll keep an eye on what we can do. Being it's an IRA, I'm much more conservative in this account, and we can take a pretty good expansion hit and still be in good shape. Let's jump into the smaller account as well. Oops, I don't know why I did that. Let's go back down, go here, insert a row. We're going to now update for today. So today is the 7th. If we take a look at the smaller account and where things stood at the close on the smaller account, we are at 12 and 31. So 12 delta, 31 theta. We ended the day at 15,807. So just up fractionally, but still another new all-time high. Sounds like a broken record. And I believe 5090 is where we are here. So we need to get some trades on, small account. I feel like I'm neglecting this account a bit, and I really need to be doing more to make this account work better. So because the big account has a lot more to it and there's a lot of training going on in the Discord, I feel like I'm probably not keeping up with some of the stuff that I should be and trying to get these videos out. So I think this is just good tonight for me to show you what my process is and then my thought process moving forward. You just got to have a plan and understand what you're doing. But we did close. Did we close? Yeah, we did close something. So here's what we did. Here's what we did on this particular trade. Let's go to open. And we closed the 4150 of the March 15th, the 4150. So we did close the 4150 put. So this 4150, we closed the short put of this one as well. Okay, turning this into a pretty good size ratio spread. Okay, so I'm going to call this the 4150. It actually cost me $2.60 to close this thing out. Okay, we closed it out today. Okay, we didn't take a win or a loss on this thing. It's just, okay. And we closed the 4150 short put of the PDS for 260 debit on 27. All right. So that's been closed. We'll go back to our opens. I'm going to make sure I drop those notes in here. This is no longer a 4200, 4150. It's just a 4200 long put now that's still cooking. What else in this particular account? We did open a strangle in here too. So let's add that. Okay, so up here, I'm going to add a strangle. I'm just going to pull one of these just to use this. Okay, so on 2/7, this would be trade number 9 in our Discord. And I did it on MES. And what we did here was we opened up the April 30th strangle. I did the 4,400, 5,450 strangle. I took in $20.25 for that. I did two of these as per my trade plan. On it, the margin on this particular trade was 796, which is per my trade plan. So there's where we are on this trade right now, and this is a strangle trade. It's an ES. Well, it's actually an MES strangle, but I don't think I have MES on here, or do I? I don't. I'm just going to call it a strangle on futures for now. All right, so that trade's been added. I will update that into the Discord for our members a little bit later on today. All right, so we got a strangle trade on. Now let's just walk over to this account. Okay. So yeah, we closed. We bought this short put back for 260. We put a strangle on here, and now let's take a look. Is there anything that we can close? All right, so here's a 112 trade. It's only got 9 days. I think we've been just letting these things rock for 9 days. The next long-term 112, this one, just like the other one, I bet I thought I had a put debit spread here, and instead I actually have the naked puts. They're at 93%. They're not quite at 95. So I'm going to let this thing rock for a couple more days. And then here is the strangle. Let's group these things. This is the April 30th. And this is an 83 DTE strangle. Okay, so that's booked. It's in there. That's working. Nothing else to close in this account right now, but we got to get some trades on. That's going to be the focus in the Discord tomorrow. Is we got to get trades on because we're running out of money. We got a lot of buying power left. And let's take a look at the capital requirements here. Just update this thing. So yeah, we're sitting there with now negative 18 delta. We can only hope that this thing goes down. We added some calls, some naked calls today. You want to know how and why I did naked calls, you can jump in the Discord for that. But certainly that changes the trade that we're doing a bit there. So overall, here we took a $26 little bit of loss on the small account. But other than that, it's doing fine, hitting new all-time highs. So we're doing great. I mean, overall, pretty happy where we are with everything that's going on in the accounts. So we're well set. So lots of stuff to look at tomorrow. It looks like Stranglemania is available. Oil, gold, copper, bonds, all strangleable, all 112 strangles. Markets, the S&P is and NASDAQ, they're definitely overbought. They can stay overbought for a while, which is why I'm kind of fearful now of putting a whole lot of anything else on. It can still continue to rise, but right now, in my opinion, it's overbought. I'm not saying the market's going to crash, but I think a pullback would be welcomed. If that happens, we're really going to juice up the portfolio. It's going to go great direction we have, and we're just continuing to innovate in the Discord. If you're in our Discord, great. You saw a fantastic presentation by one of our traders today. Well thought out plan. He covered his hard and soft hedges. He covered some different ways to structure Black Swan hedges. He covered how his trades work and how it looks and how his overall looks. And he also covered how he's eliminated that tail risk downside on the long-term 112s. So pretty interesting setup today. We've got so many great, interesting traders. I've been bringing them live to our members every single week with a Zoom session being put on by every single one of these members that wants to. So if you're not in the Discord, what are you waiting on? Just get in there and learn something, make your trades better. Yes, you can stay on YouTube here and you can get some freebie stuff here, but you're missing the boat. Okay, trying to be cheap and save yourself a couple $100 here and there because you can learn it all on YouTube University. Nothing wrong with that. I'm putting good content out for you. If you're liking it, click the like button. But if you really want to get into the nitty gritty and you want to learn how to adjust, how to really get more creative on your trades, how to put your plan together, we've also got a brand new course that's launching live right now. It will start in 2 weeks. It is on how to build your trade plan. Is a separate course inside just for our members only, that they can jump into that. It'll be a 6 weeks long course on how to build their trade plan, the first of many. We've got a bunch of new courses coming out, tons of training, tons of new educational pieces. So if you want to improve your trading, you want to help your life, you want to help your family's life, okay, jump in, join us. If not, enjoy a great rest of your day, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. So take care. Bye-bye.